But let's go ahead and jump right in. The first review is a movie that came out today. Now, granted, you guys are going to probably be seeing this weekend. We're shooting this on Friday. But it was on Hulu. Easily the worst fucking title of the year. I hate typing this title because it's so obnoxious. Mike and Nick and Alice came out on Hulu today, starring James Marsden, Vince Vaughn ×2, and Brian's dream girl, Isa Gonzalez. Basically, the main plot is we've got like, they're not the mob, right? They're just like, what are they? The mob, the gang?
There's some kind of gangsters, yeah.
It's like they act like they're the mob, but they're not really the mob. But Vince Vaughn and James Marsden, they're like partners. And then like Vince Vaughn picks up Marsden and says, "Hey, I got one last job for you to do before I let you go. Go to my house, and whatever happens, open the door and chloroform the person." And Marsden's just like, "That okay, that's weird." And then he opens the
wet
door.
rag thing.
What's that?
The wet rag thing, you mean?
Yeah, the wet rag thing.
That's chloroform. Oh,
that's chloroform. Why did you just say the wet rag thing? But he opens the door and it's Vince Vaughn, and he's like, "What the hell?" And you find out, and this is all in the trailer, so this is not spoiler, guys, that the Vince Vaughn that picked up Marsden is actually Vince Vaughn from the future, and he's trying to basically fix a huge situation that happens that night. So you got time traveling and a whole bunch of things. I don't want to really jump too much further into the plot to go into spoiler territory. But basically you got crime, you got gangsters, and you got time travel, and you got Vince Vaughn, James Marsden, and Isa Gonzalez leading the way. Brian, let's go ahead. You saw this before me. I literally just finished this, and then we hopped on, so I'm still kind of percolating everything here. We probably shouldn't have done this one first because I'm still like getting everything in my brain. But what were your thoughts of Mike and Nick? And I fucking hate this title so much.
You know what? Why it bothers me? There's a movie, I want to say 70s, maybe early 80s, I think it's 70s, called Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. And it's basically this relationship drama with these two couples. But anyway, so every time I see this title, I think of that because it even has Alice at the end of it, of the four names, just to throw me off. So of course my mind is thinking it's that kind of movie too, and this is very much not. This is like, it's sci-fi basically with some action comedy to it. And going into this, I didn't really know much about it besides the cast and stuff until I saw a trailer for it, like less than a month before it came out. And even the trailer, I was kind of like, this is not at all what
it was a very vague trailer. Like basically what I gave you guys, that was the trailer.
Yeah.
That was it.
I was like, wait, this has a time machine involved? What the fuck? And yeah. So I started watching this, and my first thought was, I really liked the pacing of this movie. It just kept going. It never really stopped and slowed down too much. I'm not saying it never felt rushed either, though. But it just kept going. And part of it, I think the score worked very well for me because it kind of kept driving the story. But the whole thing moved through very quickly. I liked just that fact that we're getting a kind of a not a mega budget, but like a big budget studio comedy. Which
this did not feel like a Hulu movie.
Yeah, it felt like this is what made me think of what I was talking about earlier with how most streaming movies have like that streaming look to them. Not just the green screen thing, but even just in the way they're filmed, it'll just look like streaming movies. This one feels like a theatrical movie, even though it was made for Hulu. But just the fact that we're getting a studio comedy, a good R-rated studio comedy, which they're afraid to make half the time these days, I found it actually surprisingly entertaining. I mean, Vince Vaughn, it was funny. James Marsden, I thought I think he's underrated as a comedic actor. I mean, well, he's underrated just overall. But especially when he does comedies, whether it be this or just a small part in something like Sex Drive. Hell, I loved him in Hop, the movie with the Easter Bunny thing. I think he's got some good comedy chops to him. He was lots of fun. Isa Gonzalez, gorgeous, of course. She was fine. She was in a lot less this movie than I expected.
I thought she was in a lot of it.
She was a good chunk of it, but there was like
she was in more of the second half of the movie.
I realized we haven't seen her for like half an hour. I'm like, what's going on?
She's hanging out in the hotel room.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not gonna be my best of the year list or anything. But I enjoyed it. There was definitely laughs to be found. I did feel like both in some of the snappy dialogue they kind of had, and in the super over convoluted plot, which I still don't really quite understand everything that happened in this movie. In that respect, it felt very much like a Shane Black movie, which of course everyone knows is kind of like right in my wheelhouse. So I enjoyed that about it. But the VIP of this movie, the very first scene, Ben Schwartz was fucking awesome, and all he was doing was singing a song. And I
was wanting to put this in our nominee for best moments of the year.
Oh, I'm okay with it. Let's do it.
Because I was like, I'm watching. I'm like, this is why I created the best moments category, because
it has almost nothing to do. It has something to do with the rest of the movie, but the whole him singing and stuff, that was totally unnecessary. It had nothing to do with the movie, but it was fucking fun.
They let him go for like 2 solid
the whole
minutes.
Song. Yeah.
He sings this whole song, and you're just like, well, he's eventually going to get cut off, or he's eventually going to get undercut, which he eventually does. But he gets through 2/3 of the song, and it's just him just having fun in the lab.
Jansen staring straight at the camera, breaking the fourth wall. Even
I was literally, I had put this on. I was making dinner, and I was putting this on, and I like turned, and like, is that Ben Schwartz? I'm like, is Ben Schwartz singing? And then I just kind of like stopped paying attention to my dinner, and I was just like, just watching it, like, he's having fun. So, before I jump into my part of it, what did you end up giving Mike and Nick and Alice?
I ended up with a 3.5, and I said in my review, it might be a little generous because it's not anything groundbreaking. It was fun, but the things I liked about it were enough to push it up there for me. So 3.5.
I went into this with relative low expectations because we didn't really know much about it. We both enjoy Vince Vaughn, but he doesn't do a lot anymore. So it's like when you get him, you're like, okay, I hope this is worth his time. We both love Isa Gonzalez, but she's kind of wish-washy on what she picks. And Marsden is, like you said, criminally underrated, but that doesn't necessarily mean he always picks the best things. But yeah, the movie opens up with Ben Schwartz singing, and I'm like, all right. And as soon as what happens to him happens, I'm like, no. I'm like, damn it. But I agree with you that this movie, the pace is great. It's an hour 40, but the movie felt, I don't want to say it felt long. It felt full. Like, I feel like I had a full picture of this film. Like, I didn't feel like we were shortchanged on anything. I didn't feel like we were like, oh man, we probably should have gotten a little more of this. Or I felt like everything got well thought out. I think there's a beginning, definitely a beginning, middle, and end. I feel like we got journeys with the main characters. I feel like it wasn't just like, oh, they're spending the first half of the movie in this one location. I felt like we were constantly moving and just like changing, locations and stuff like that. The characters, like
nothing that felt like it slowed the movie down or scenes that could have been, well, there's one, but I won't get into that in detail. But for the most part, it didn't feel like anything like needed to be cut either. So yeah, it was a perfect.
But yeah, I fucking loved this movie. I thought it was great. Like, witty dialogue back and forth. I love that Vince Vaughn, even though I think they said the 2 versions of him are 6 months apart. Mm-hmm. Apparently, that 6 months future, he went through some shit because
there's one major event which he says changed.
Yes, I know. I'm trying to be vague for spoilers. Yeah. But like, he's a totally different character than present day Vince Vaughn. But I love the dynamic of how different they were because they do feel like 2 different characters. Marsden is great in this. Like I said, you and I are always like talking about how James Marsden really should be utilized more. And I feel like this movie kind of, I don't want to say figured out the formula, but like, he's great in Sonic. But after a while, it's like, it's a Sonic movie. We don't want James Marsden on screen. And it's like, I do. But he's not on it. This movie actually knows how to utilize James Marsden. And I feel like once we got to the part of the movie where Alice is more of a focal point, I thought Isa Gonzalez meshed really well chemistry-wise with Marsden and Vince Vaughn. I think all of them, dialogue and chemistry in terms of scenes together, all worked really well. And I also want to I love the background cast in this movie.
Yes.
Keith David, great. Freaking
Jimmy Tatro, baby.
Jimmy Tatro. There were so many moments in this movie where yes, you want to stay with Vince Vaughn and Isa and Marsden, but there are moments where he's just when Jimmy Tatro's having a conversation with Louis Tan or Arturo Castro. I'm like, I can just stay here. I can stay here for 15 minutes and just listen to these two talk because I am enjoying what felt like improv, but it worked. These guys are having just conversations about, 22 to 29 is when your dick works best. and then it fucks with his head the rest of the night. Jimmy Tatro is such an underutilized comedic actor. He hits in every aspect of this movie. Every time he spoke in this film, I'm like, yes, he's hitting every fucking line in this film. He was my favorite character in the movie outside of the lead cast because every time Jimmy was on screen, I'm just gonna say the dumpster baby scene, I was like literally laughing out loud just because of his reaction to it. And I was like, hey, I know where he's gonna go with this. And I'm hoping he does, and then he did, and I like fist pumped it. I was like, yes, I'm glad you're going this route.
And no, they don't find a dumpster baby. It's a conversation.
They don't. It's a story, and it's like you know where the story's going, and you're like, I'm hoping we're going down this path, and we are going, and it hits so well. Arturo Castro is such a criminally he's the new Michael Pena, whereas every time he's on something, yeah. I'm like, yes, and he's got some great lines. Emily Hampshire from Schitt's Creek, she's got some fun little moments here and there. I loved this. Stephen Root, he's got even Louis Tan. The part with Louis Tan, which I shit on him in Mortal Kombat, but I actually do like this guy as an actor. I will say this: when Jimmy shows up to the party and Louis Tan's playing the bouncer, and they have that exchange about the wedding, died laughing. Do you know the conversation I'm talking about? Like why he wasn't at the wedding?
Vaguely, yes.
That whole back and forth was perfect for me. Was loving it. And yes, it's very Shane Black. And I had a blast, but then it also was able to have like emotional beats and emotional moments. There was like to the point where I felt like sad at certain points when I was like, shoot, like this is not a movie that I expected to actually have like emotional weight to it. And then all of a sudden it's an action movie, like fucking like Pineapple Express and Hot Fuzz, where it's like, are we actually? Oh shit, we're actually having a full-on fledged action scene in this movie. This movie had like almost everything. I was incredibly surprised by this. I had a ball watching this movie. I could not have been more surprised at how I felt going through this. I gave it 4 stars. I loved every aspect of it. I'm surprised you were like, I'm being generous by 3.5. I don't know what you didn't like about it.
Well, it's also a matter of I watched this late last night, like after I got home from work, early hours in the morning. I do want to watch this again because the more I think about it and the more I'm thinking back on it, I really did enjoy it. I don't know if it'll quite push it all the way to a 4 for me, but it's definitely a solid 3.5. Yeah.
I will say this: I never thought I would laugh so fucking hard at the concept of a conversation about fucking Gilmore Girls. But that whole scene, I've never watched a single fucking.
That's the scene. We're going obviously won't spoil going into details. That's the scene that I thought was funny, but I also feel it went on about 2 or 3 times longer than it needed to.
I thought it was perfect. I was enjoying the hell out of that. And I wrote that down for funniest moment. I actually have nomination for funniest moment. Finally, we didn't have one this past year. It's like there was no moment that really made me laugh out loud. This movie made me laugh out loud a lot. I had so much fun with this movie. I could not recommend this movie more. My first super huge big surprise of the year. Mike and Nick, and I still hate the fucking title, but I love the fucking movie. But yeah, 4 stars for me, 3.5 for Brian.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.